Evening, peeps. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. All right, we've got a bit of time to kill here. I'm filming this at 7 o'clock. We do have the Sunday session live at 8. I don't know what time this video is going to go up, by the way, but I thought, you know what? We've got an hour to kill, so let's do a quick video. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. Some of you have reached out to me and said, Ade, I was a bit too harsh in my assessment of the Eubank-Williams fight. A bit too harsh in my critique of Chris Eubank. I've watched that fight back. I wasn't too harsh at all. I wasn't. Normally, I'd admit that I can be a bit too tough on fighters that I want to see go far and propel themselves and, go on to do massive things. So sometimes I feel like I let my personal want get in the way of get in the way of fair judging. But I don't think that's the case with Chris Eubank Jr. Again, what I said yesterday in the immediate aftermath of the fight was that he had the opportunity to make a real big statement and he didn't. I don't think that statement was made. Some of you might say, oh, 1 second, Ade, he got 4 knockdowns. That's a statement. He beat Liam Williams on the scorecards quite comfortably. That's a statement. He beat him in Cardiff. That's a statement. And I'm like, yeah, that's a statement. But I'm talking about a massive statement was there for him to make, and he didn't make it. That's just my own personal views. Again, I thought the first knockdown was a bit of a flash knockdown. I thought the second knockdown, Liam Williams was definitely hurt. And I thought that was the time. And I remember saying at the time there was a minute left on the clock or something like that. And I was thinking, all right, this is the time. This is when he absolutely just destroys Liam Williams in front of his home fans and says, this is the level I'm on. This is the level Liam Williams is on. I could even go bigger. And he didn't do it. He started doing all that showboating in the ring and telling Liam Williams, get here in the middle, let's fight. And I was like, just go over there and knock him out. Just go over there. Stop all this fucking playing about. Go over there and bash him up. And he did not do it. And I thought, again, opportunity missed. Trust me, I can tell by the reaction of boxing people and even sort of people that dip their toes in and out of boxing. A lot of people, and I was going on their Twitter feeds, after the first 4 rounds, everyone was like, my God, this is the best Eubank I've ever seen. At the end of the fight, everyone was like, missed opportunity. Everyone had that kind of same narrative. So it isn't just me. I wasn't being too harsh. Look, in the end, at the end of the day, sorry, it's a good win, and I guess that's what counts. It's a good win against a live opponent, probably, and I said this at the time, probably Eubank's best win, I think. Yeah, most probably. But I feel like there was a bit more. There was a bit more. So I've given Eubank, in terms of a grade or a score, a 6 out of 10. What's that? A B minus, a C. And it could have been at one stage an A plus. It could have been, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I found the aftermath of the fight very, very interesting, just because of the people that have sort of reached out and called out Chris Eubank Jr. One of those, you guys all saw it, was CONOR BENN, and a lot of people screenshotted the call out and said, Ade, oh my God, CONOR BENN versus Eubank. Look, it sounds great, doesn't it? I mean, if you are of a certain age, even if you're not, you do remember the Eubank-Benn era of the 90s, the best era of British boxing, or for me it was anyway, having grown up as a kid watching it. It was so exciting. So I can understand how people would get very, very excited about their sons fighting. Do I think the fight will ever happen? Absolutely not. But look, I'm all for the excitement and the talk around it. I'm all for it. Look, CONOR BENN is a 147-pound fighter signed to DAZN. Chris Eubank Jr. is a 160-pounder, who I think is actually starting to look very tight at the weight, and he's doing his stuff with Sky and Boxer. That shit ain't happening. Chris Eubank Jr. I don't want to say he can never make 154, but he's not going to make 154 for CONOR BENN. Like, if it's 154 for Canelo, then he's probably going to try and kill himself to make the weight. He's not going to do it for CONOR BENN. CONOR BENN will happily go up to 154, happily. I mean, any fighter that struggles to make, you see CONOR BENN at the weigh-ins, I mean, he's as tight as they can come. So I can imagine him wanting to go to 154 pounds just to not make that £7 or the extra £7 weight cut. But guys, again, it sounds great. And so many tweets, so many retweets and shares, so many people talking about it. But I can tell you now, unless we're talking 3-4 years time when, Conor is a 110%, 154 pounder, and maybe Chris Eubank's looking for a big payday. Unless we're talking that, it ain't ever happening. It ain't ever happening. It's great. It sounds great. Fuck, it got me excited, but it ain't ever happening. Something more realistic is another call-out. He got loads of call-outs, by the way, did Chris Eubank Jr., which is a good thing. Boxers need options. You can be the best boxer in the world. If you have no options and no fights that generate money, then it means very little. Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders called him out as well, again, after the fight. Look, great fight. And credit to Sky and Ben Shalom. I mean, there's options there, loads of options, pay-per-view options. That's a pay-per-view fight. Billy Joe Saunders, Chris Eubank Jr. That's a big, big fight. I would love to see it. It's an easy sell as well. You don't even have to work hard for it. The promotion for it would be very easy. Honestly, you don't need a promoter. You just let those guys go at each other for 2 weeks. You could do a little press tour. It would be fantastic, and you could sell it very, very easily. I still think there is a lot left in Billy Joe Saunders. I think the only thing that I worry is when a fighter starts talking about retirement, you know, the old adage, you 1 foot out, there's a problem there. But if there's anyone that can bring that 1 foot back for Billy Joe Saunders, it is Chris Eubank Jr. Ever since their fight many, many moons ago, those guys have gone back and forth all the time. And look, I don't think Billy Joe Saunders can make 160 anymore. I don't. His last few fights have been at 168. He's been at 168 now for the best part of 3-4 years, I think. So I don't think he can make 160. And I did say earlier that I think Chris is tight at 168. At 160. I don't want Chris to fight the big 168 pounders because they're still naturally just a bit too big for him. Like a George Groves type is just too big for him. But Billy Joe Saunders isn't a big 168. So I think it's a fight that I would like to see. Both of them are in this now for the pounds and pence. I don't think Chris is chasing world titles like everyone would let you believe he is. I think he's in it for big money fights, and Billy Joe Saunders, again, is a big, big money fight. It really is. One more that was mentioned after, look, aside from all the obvious ones being Murata, GGG, Andrade, Charlo, aside from all those obvious ones, I'm looking at the ones that are big fights over here for whatever reason. And another one that was mentioned yesterday, and again, this was coming from Ben Shalom, it was if Kell Brook beats Amir Khan, Kell Brook will go up to 160 and fight Chris Eubank Jr. Oh, God. You know what it is, yeah? All these fights, all of those I just mentioned, they're they're fights that, in the grand scheme of things, in terms of sort of where that makes you, where it puts you in world rankings, none of them do that. But they're fights that put eyeballs on the sport. These are fights that bring in the casuals. And if you were DAZN, for example, these are the type of fights over here that fucking talk, that's all it is sign-ups. It's sign-ups. Billy Joe Saunders, Chris Eubank Jr., sign-ups galore. Chris Eubank Jr., CONOR BENN, never going to happen, but sign-ups. And Kell Brook, if you were to run through Amir Khan, Kell Brook versus Chris Eubank Jr. at 160 is sign-ups. Just fun fights, aren't they? Again, they're fights that don't really mean much. Maybe Billy Joe Saunders, Eubank does to an extent, because I still think both of them can maybe have some good days at 168 at world level, but the rest are just fun fights. Just fun fights. But of all of those, the one I would like to see, without a shadow of a doubt, is Eubank Jr. versus Billy Joe Saunders. Look, I mean, Kell, I think at 160 will look very good. Physically, he looked very, very good against Golovkin. Kell's a much better boxer than Eubank Jr. is as well. And Eubank won't dwarf Kell in the ring. He won't. But look, let's see what Kell does first against Amir Khan before we start selling that fight. If you're a Kell, I mean, Kell wants that 149, I think the fight is. There aren't many money fights for Kell, 154 pounds. You look at the division, there aren't many money fights, is there? There isn't. Eubank Jr. is a big fight for him at 160. It's a big fight, and it's a fight that he's spoken about before. It's a fight that he'll want. It's a fight ever since he fought Golovkin, and there was a talk about Eubank Jr. losing his pen. He's always digged Eubank. So look, again, fun fights, just fun fights. For Eubank, look, he did say after and if he were to get past, he didn't even say if, he said when he gets past Liam Williams, then he's doing real big fights. So for Eubank, again, aside from Billy Joe Saunders, Eubank Jr. should be targeting the big guys at 160. That's all his mind should be at. It's about getting those big fights. It really is. And if he doesn't, if it's a gimme-ish fight next again, then what a waste. What a waste. Not just if it's a gimme fight, he's got to stay busy as well. So you're looking at Eubank after that fight, not much damage. I don't know if there was damage to his hands or anything. I'm not quite sure if there was. But it's a case of getting out again in, what are we now, February, March, April, May, June latest for me. June latest. It's about momentum. Eubank should be looking at from 3, I want to be greedy and say 4, but that even sounds strange to say now because no one seems to do it. But he should be having 3 fights this year, maybe 4. Like, look, February, the good thing is he's had a fight at the start of the year. So February, again, for me, June. You look again, you think potentially September, and then who knows, the end of the year. But realistically, now, June, December. We'll see if that happens. I love that little Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall beef ringside. It started a lot of talk up on social media about who will win that fight. For me, Clarissa Shields is a supreme boxer. Yes, all the talk about she hasn't got the power. No point getting involved in that talk because that's pretty obvious. But in terms of a boxer, she ticks all the boxes. She really does. So good, so gifted. Savannah Marshall, clearly a lot bigger than her. You saw it yesterday when they were kind of doing their little nose to nose. Savannah Marshall, more powerful as well. So you're going to give strength and power and all the other stuff, maybe that fall under that bracket to Savannah. But in terms of just boxing ability, you've got to give all that to Clarissa. And that makes a great fight. It really does. It makes a really, really good fight. Keith Thurman came back the early hours of this morning. I've only just watched the fight. He looked good. He looked good for someone that's not fought for 2.5 years. So when I'm judging him, it's difficult. I'm not just judging him on, okay, this is Keith that had a fight 4 or 5 months ago and, comparing him to the very best at 147. I'm judging him thinking, geez, that's a man that's not fought for 2.5 years. That's a man that's not won a fight for 3 years. And because of all those things, that's a very, very good performance. Barrios got it wrong. What I mean by that is if you watch Barrios against Gervonta Davis, Barrios is so clearly aware and afraid of Gervonta Davis's power. He rarely stays in the pocket. For some reason, I don't know if that was the plan to maybe rough Keith Thurman up because he's been out the ring for so long. But Keith Thurman's got power, man. That's one thing Keith's had has always had his power. And Barrios, maybe because he's a bit bigger, he probably walked into the ring around 160. He maybe thought he could try and bully Keith. And he was just in range all the time and Keith was just unloading and landing some good shots. Barrios landed some good shots as well, a couple of really good body shots that kind of buckled the legs a little bit of Keith Thurman. But I thought Barrios turned it into a Keith Thurman type fight and I think they just got the tactics wrong. I think if he employed some of the tactics he did against Gervonta Davis, which was stand out and when you engage, quickly getting out of the pocket, he could have done something in that fight. But in the end, it was Keith Thurman's night and he looked good. I tweeted out, who do you want to see Keith fight next? A lot of people are going straight to the top dogs. Not for me, not yet. You want to see one more first and then go. I like a Velasquez, I like that. I like a Velasquez. I know Avanesian's got a fight in March, but he's fighting no one. And Avanesian, I don't know what happened, by the way, with Avanesian versus Virgil Ortiz and how that just broke down. The WBC sort of mandated that fight, didn't they? And nothing happened. But Avanesian, Velasquez, and then go. And then go and maybe look at a Crawford or the winner of Spence Ugas. Or I'm mad to say that the winner of Spence. Really, I should be saying the loser, but maybe the winner of Spence Ugas. Leo Santa Cruz came back as well. Leo Santa Cruz got a good win. I don't know. Leo Santa Cruz should just, if you're not going to defend your featherweight strap, vacate. Allow Lee Wood versus Michael Conlan to be for the real thing. Because I almost hate the stick that Lee Wood's getting. Oh, you're fighting for a regular title. You're only a regular champion. Leo's not defended that belt for 3 years. What the fuck's going on? So hopefully something happens there and they either strip Leo or Leo says, yeah, I'm not going down to that weight class. And hopefully that is the case. Massive shout out to Bam Bam Rodriguez, Jesse Rodriguez, who beat Quadras in the early hours of this morning as well on DAZN, thus becoming, I think, the youngest champion out there right now, only 22 years of age. What a massive step up in class, step up in weight, and got the job done. Looked really, really good. Really good as well, by the way, like really good. He is trained by Robert Garcia. I don't know how many world champions Robert Garcia has produced, by the way, over the years, but it's another one now. Be interesting to see. Look, he will stay at the weight class because he's a world champion. Be interesting to see who they match him up with next, because obviously we know that division's frightening. But yeah, well done to him as well. What's the time? 19:24. We don't really have much time. I just want to see if there's any news we can quickly go through. Let's see if there's anything very, very quickly. Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. Tyson Fury done a little sit-down interview with ESPN. Alexander Usyk looks like Muhammad Ali compared to useless bum Anthony Joshua. Something going on there, and it's so much like a lot of people for some reason think that still, even though they've done the purse bids and the WBC have mandated it now, a lot of people still think that White Fury isn't going to happen and that Fury's just talking. I hope not. But yeah, another dig at AJ. He digs AJ quite a lot, you know. Geez. I see that Lomachenko has said that his team has now made an offer to Kambosos, the best offer out of everyone as well, by the way, he said, for Lomachenko to go to Australia and fight Kambosos. If you're Kambosos, that's the last thing you want. It's the last thing you want, because I'm sorry, as much as I don't want to be sleeping on Kambosos again, because I feel like we've all done that a little bit, Loma will eat him up. Will eat him up. Take those belts back and good luck. Good luck getting them off him. So if I'm him, Devin Haney, look, it's obviously not going to be Ryan Garcia because he's got his fight announced now. Haney, or you almost just have a homecoming fight against someone in and around the top 10 or 15. I want Loma to have the opportunity to get his belts back, but if I'm Kambosos, you don't want Lomachenko. You don't. Loma will beat him convincingly as well for me. All right, guys, I think that is it. It was only a quick video as we get ready for the Sunday Session Live. Peace and love.